now we know. Now it should work.
Yes, it was because of the second. I thought so. Because we didn't want to make it public.
That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let them get started. I just want to really quickly talk about, I sent out this via email and also made a hard copy for you to kind of check off. The actual individuals on the West College of Education may change, but fundamentally this week is for West College of Education. It's the last of all the colleges for us to be able to hear from. And then your reflection essay will be based on this one, and then health sciences, and then Bain College of Fine Arts. So those three colleges of presentations that you've not yet written about. Next week, I have us having a work day on the 16th for your team campus improvement project. I actually will be here. The schedule changed for me that day, so this is a priority, so I'll be around so I can meet with teams, but I'm also going to send an email each individual team just to follow up on any remaining items here. And then we will not have class on the 23rd. That's the week of Thanksgiving. So we'll have you guys instead work on the reflection essay. I've shifted the deadline back for the reflection essay to November 30th, but if you want to turn it in early, that's fine. I don't know how the semester looks for you at the end and whether it's going to be difficult or not to try to get through stuff. So the 30th is when I'll start looking at them and grading. And then we're scheduled to have virtual presentations as sort of a virtual symposium in the absence of us participating in the Eureka or Undergraduate Research and Creative Arts Forum. Dr. Garrison is going to update me on that today. So I can't tell you 100% what that's going to be like, but he'll give me some information. So probably the same presentation you prepare for the campus panel to talk about your campus improvement projects. It'll be the same presentation. I don't see any shift in tone, but whether we're going to do it live or pre-recorded, I'm not sure. So I'll let you guys know. And then on the 11th, which is during finals week, that's the day when your learning portfolios are due. And I have a Dropbox for that for you to submit the link to me. I've had one person contact me about looking at theirs in advance. I'm happy to do that. So if you want to do that and send me the link to your learning portfolio, I'm happy to look it over and see if there's anything you might consider adding to that, okay? Are there questions about any of those items? I know that's a lot of stuff, but all right. With that, then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gupta and Dr. Lynch from the West College of Education. Oh,
Thank you. Okay, so hopefully, let me share the screen with those of you on Zoom. So you can scan the QR code now that we've got it working, or you can go to this bit.ly link. I'll give you just a moment to do that. And in this site, it has some information that we'll be referring to. So you've got Dr. Miller is going to be here on Wednesday. We are going to be taking turns back and forth.
And I'm Dr. Gupta. Nice to meet you guys.
And I'm Dr. Lent. And you can click on our names. It'll take you to our Google Scholar site where you can see our research publications. And then this is the presentation that we'll be going through. You're welcome to go through it along with us, or you can look up here. And then there's some different things that we'll be working on. Let me move this. And then within it, are y'all familiar with Google Sites?
You can go on the links on the top.
Oh, on the top. Okay, I'm sorry. So here's the different things we'll be referring to. We're going to be talking today about barriers in education. And then on Wednesday, a little bit about quantitative research and qualitative research and mixed methods, and then others. So we'll refer you back to this site. And so just so you have it, but you don't have to follow along in the presentation itself. Okay. Okay, so once again, I am Dr. Lent, and I am in curriculum and learning in the West College of Education, and we're so grateful to be here. The three of us have done a lot of research together, in addition to research with other people and other faculty. But our dean, Dr. Capps, had asked us to come since we've done a lot of different types of educational research. And so that's what we're going to be talking to you about. and I am educational psychology. And so really my field is the bridge between psychology and education. A lot of what I research is development and motivation and engagement and those types of things.
And I'm Dr. Gupta. My research is, I'm in the curriculum and learning department too, and Dr. Miller is actually in the kinesiology department. So West College of Education has two departments within it. And my research is mostly in math methods. So I work with teachers who want to be elementary, middle, and high school teachers. And so I talk to them about how students think and learn mathematics. I do a lot of work with teacher preparation and noticing of children's mathematical thinking. And recently, when I say recently, it's 3 years. That's recent for me, okay? So recently I've been working on, I don't know if many of you know about lesson study, in which it's a reflective practice in improving your own instruction and instruction for your teachers. So since all students become future teachers, I want them to be prepared for their classrooms. So those are the areas that I mostly work in. And so our next slide has our Bitmojis, which is the same ones. We wanted to have those. So as Dr. Lynn said, those links lead up to our Google Scholar page. You can look up the articles and our publications and things like that if you are interested in.
And then Dr. Miller, you'll get to meet, as I said, on Wednesday, and she's in kinesiology. And so one thing that's kind of different about education is we have a lot of, well, I guess it's similar to others, but we've got a lot of different fields within. So we also have counseling, we also have special education. So there's a lot of research that comes from that. And we have educational leadership, which is like people seeking to be principals or superintendents of school districts. And then Dr. Miller is in kinesiology, which is people who are interested in physical education. So a lot of her research has to do with movement and different benefits of obviously physical education to learning and development. So you'll learn more about that too. But it's a very diverse field, more than just in the classroom. So what we want to know, let's see, what do I click on this? Next. What we want to know from you is what you think educational research is. So we're going to do a mentee. I don't know if you've ever done a mentee, but go to this link and you're going to enter that code and it's going to make a word cloud with your responses. So try to keep your response like 2 or 3 words. Don't type like, a large compound sentence or anything. But just what do you think educational research investigates?
Yeah, and we'll probably have you charge your phones because we'll be using it a lot.
All right, I might bring this down. It's projector 1, is that right?
Yeah. And you could also, I think.
There we go. Okay, while y'all are working on that, I'm going to do that.
Do you prefer it like this where it's a little bit darker? The screen's a bit more visible that way.
What do y'all think?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So that is projected.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It went to projector.
Did y'all get to the mentee? Okay. Does anyone need more time or anyone not able to find it? Thumbs up if you've got it. That's what I have to do with my Zoom classes because everyone just stares at me. All right, go ahead. Okay, so what do we investigate in educational research? Learning, definitely something important to know, right? Whether we're teachers or counselors or principals, physical educators, we definitely want to know what students are learning, right? That's definitely one thing that you'll hear when you're, you know, I'll say reading the newspaper, no one does that, but looking online, right, for information, you want to know, are students learning, right? In education, are schools doing a good job, especially now, right? Now things have shifted a lot. So educational research has changed quite a bit this semester, and even in the spring, right? With everyone doing a lot of asynchronous learning, distance learning, that type of thing. And so student learning and learning, those are pretty much the same. Teaching methods, okay, good. There's a lot of ways to teach, right? Whether you're just standing at the podium lecturing, whether you're having students do group work, which of course we're constrained with today. Development, that's something that I like. I teach human development also, so I definitely am interested in that. Some things like comprehension, understanding, those are pretty synonymous.
Cognitive processes, learning types.
And teacher performance, right? We want to make sure that teachers are doing their job that they're supposed to be doing. That's important too. Computational skills, so definitely some different things within the different subject areas. So good, but definitely learning. That's one of the big things. And if you're going to conduct educational research, if you're not tied to learning, then you may get overlooked. So that's what the public wants to know about for sure. Okay, so thank you for that. So these are some things that specifically we have looked at. I'm just trying to grab my notes. In education, there of course are a vast array of topics, but one of them is research instruction. Reading instruction. So this is, you can click it, okay. So the way that you were taught to read, of course, reading is one of the very first things that's taught in school. Kindergarten focuses a lot on reading education. And so there's been a lot of research to find out how to do it. You know, do you look at flashcards to memorize words like A and B and dog and he and it? Some of you may have done that. That's one type of reading instruction. Another one is looking at the phonemes, which is the different parts of the words. What combined sounds make certain, or what combined letters make certain sounds, is one type of reading instruction. And there's some schools that adopt a certain philosophy of teaching reading, and there's other schools that adopt another philosophy of teaching reading. But there's lots of research to find out how a certain type of reading instruction may be linked to student learning outcomes. And so then we investigate that. Math instruction, as Dr. Gupta researches and knows a lot about, is often linked to investigating certain things like manipulatives. So like in your classroom, probably y'all are young enough that you remember working with, maybe you had like little bears that you used as counters, or little circles that you had counters when you were learning to group things before you were taught multiplication.
Base 10 blocks.
Yeah, you may have been using the base 10 blocks, like the little cubes. So there's research to support that using those manipulatives is helpful or tied to better student learning outcomes, right? So it's research that helps us to know that that's been effective. And then we also have policy research. So certain things like how much money should be put into schools. And there's a certain threshold that, obviously more money is helpful because money buys computers or iPads or different technology forms, subscriptions to different videos and things like that. So a certain amount of money is important because it provides students with resources they need and teachers the tools that they need to teach effectively. But at some point, you reach a point where the amount of money doesn't matter anymore. And that's one thing that our dean, Dr. Capps, has investigated is how much money does it take to get schools to the point where they've got everything they need. And then past that, it doesn't make sense to have more money, I guess. So that's something to do with like policies. And you can, when you're a Title I school, meaning you're a school that has a large, low socioeconomic population, you can apply for grants, from the government, the state or the federal government, to get those additional things you need, like one-to-one technology. And then a lot of private funders like Dell and other large groups like that will also give grants to schools to help with things that they need. So there's a lot of ways to get it if you're in a lower socioeconomic district. And then case studies. So case studies are a type of research where it's a very small group. And so, we think often about research, making these predictions or these large scale, understandings of the whole population or how all students learn. But sometimes we're interested in just a small group of people. What about kids who are on the autism spectrum? How do they function in the physical education classroom? Well, obviously you can't study 1 million people. There's a small number. So sometimes we just look at individual cases, okay? And that's okay too. And these individual cases can help us with behavior intervention. A kid who's on the autism spectrum, who's in the physical education classroom, what types of strategies are effective? And so in your research, you may say, I tried it with John and Sally and Mark. Okay, this is what I tried. This is what worked, right? I can't do it with 1,000 different students because there's not 1,000 students, but maybe what I did was effective, and it might be something that you can try with your students, right, who are similar. And then also we look at school climate, and this is something that I teach in educational psychology, and climate isn't about the temperature, right? Climate is about the feeling or the mood. Do you walk into the classroom and suddenly feel tense, okay? Or do you walk in and you feel like, oh, thank goodness I'm in this class now, right? I can relax. And a lot of that has to do with your teacher. Is your teacher welcoming, warm, approachable, kind, understanding? That lends to a more positive classroom climate. Or is your teacher like, where's your homework and where's your homework? Then you feel kind of tense when you get in there. What is he or she going to ask me? Am I going to be called on? Am I prepared? Did I do it right? Okay, that lends to more of a negative climate. And we know from research that a more positive climate can lead to greater student learning outcomes, greater engagement, less chance of cheating, less chance of procrastination, a lot of those maladaptive things. So we've learned that also from research. And then leadership. So when you're talking about leadership, the principal, the superintendent, the school where my kids go has had 4 superintendents in the last 5 years. One of the elementary schools has had 3 principals in the last 4 years. And so you better believe that all those changes, and you know how schools are, philosophy is going to go like this, and so you better bet all those changes in leadership have affected the teachers, which is then trickled down to affect the students. So in different types of styles, there's micromanagers and there's the ones who let you kind of do whatever and don't give you any guidance. So what type of leadership style is most effective? And again, helping those student learning outcomes. And then curriculum. So curriculum is the meat. I study the why and how and the touchy-feely part of it, but curriculum is kind of the meat of it. What's the best way to teach math? What's the best way to teach English? I was an English teacher. What's the best way to teach writing? That's something that has shifted. When I went to school, we got our little red pens out and we marked it all up. Oh, your adjective's wrong. I can't believe you used this preposition here. And that's not really effective now. All the grammar standards, we call them TEKS. The grammar standards are gone. We don't diagram sentences anymore. We don't worry about your prepositional phrase being at the beginning or end. We don't teach dependent and independent clauses. It breaks my heart a little bit because I love grammar, but we know from research that that can stifle writing, right? When you're afraid to do it wrong, you're less likely to do it, okay? So, but if you feel like you can write freely, and what happens now if no one really writes, right? How do you compose your reflections for Dr. Brown Marston? What are you gonna do?
Type it up.
Type it. So when you're typing and you make some grammatical mistakes and you make some spelling mistakes, what happens? You what? Yeah, thank goodness, right? So whether it's Google or Word or whatever you're typing in has those little underlines, right? It brings attention. So now our standards in writing are, can the student choose from the correct spelling of the word? Can the student choose from the correct grammatical suggestion? Because that's realistic, right? So
How many of you like fractions? No, no. See, that's another one of the research, exactly what Dr. Lynch's talking about. The standards for math education changed, and they said that the fractions should not even be included in teaching till about 3rd or 4th grade. So anything about you talking about, you're not even giving kindergartners, 1st, 2nd grade any idea about what a fraction is. You start on a 3rd grade, and then as soon as you start, you say, okay, add 2 fractions. Gosh, I can bet most of you convert it into a decimal, right? When you are adding fractions, come on, you guys, don't lie to me. I've seen that. Okay, now I'm going to be honest, sometimes I do that too. Okay, so, but that's what it is all about. Is that curriculum benefiting the students? Is it aligned with their cognitive abilities to introduce them to be so late, and then suddenly not even telling them or giving them opportunities and experiences to develop that, you are now telling them, okay, start doing operations with it. So
right. Yeah, and so I mean, and even with math, you'll hear people say, oh, they teach math completely differently.
Mhm.
And a big part of that is they're teaching, instead of just memorizing, like you may have done, memorize your facts or memorize this formula, just learn it the way, don't worry about why. Okay, well, you're all here probably because you want to know why. You were that kid in the class that kept saying, well, I don't understand why we're doing it this way. And the teacher said, just do it. Okay, don't ask questions. But now we've learned that if students have that understanding of how to combine numbers or how to add different fractions or why different things in science work the way they do, if you understand at the basic level, then you can apply that understanding to higher level math or higher level science or whatever it may be. In English, we write literary criticisms, which you may have written in English, right? So it's not just about composing a personal narrative or putting together a research paper, but it's, really critiquing it and answering those why questions. So we've learned through research that certain types of teaching styles, certain types of curriculum are beneficial to student learning. And then the last one is counseling. So counseling is that other part of research, and counseling focuses on, helping people through different things. There's school counselors, right? And there's also professional counselors. And most of our counseling courses are master's level. But we just hired a new faculty member in counseling, and she researches access to care in rural areas. So mental health is something that's become drawn more attention, to the importance of mental health for younger people, for older people. But what about the people that don't have access to care? They live in the middle of nowhere, West Texas, and all they have around is their family doctor. Is the family doctor the best person to care, for your mental health? I have a friend that just got a job in Denton working with the city of Denton, and she's a social worker, but she works with mental health when police officers go to a call and they respond to someone who's kind of like not, acting normal. She comes in and helps with the person and their mental state and helping them through it, making certain referrals. So teaching police officers, rather than taking them to jail or taking them to an ER, what you can do to calm them down, things like that. So we learn from research and case studies and writing about things like what's the best way to treat people and to help them to get the care they need. Okay. All right, any questions about that?
Okay, so now we've heard a lot about the kind of research we do with education. So we want to now discuss a little bit about what are the barriers to educational research. So I want you guys to take about 20 seconds, think about yourself, barriers to educational research, and then I want some ideas from you guys. Yeah. I'll give you a few minutes, not a few minutes, that's a long time, few seconds. All right, time's up, right? Okay, who wants to give me an answer? Yes, please.
Not everyone learns the same way.
Not everyone learns the same way. That's an excellent point because our research involves human subjects. Okay, so we are dealing with people and everybody learns different ways. Everybody has their own attitudes, own opinions, and all of you guys are valued. All opinions are important. So you have to work with different personalities, different learning styles, all of those things. We decide, we think, okay, this is going to work with this group. However, it may just be a very big surprise for us because it did not work with this group as it worked with another group, right? So that is one of the huge ideas. All right, who else? Give me another idea. Yes, please.
Undiagnosed learning disabilities.
Excellent point. Undiagnosed learning disabilities. Once again, goes back to the fact is I can't control that variable, right? It was undiagnosed. I did not know about it. And so I don't know where it came from. And I have to decipher that. I can't control that variable. That's a variable that comes in when I am teaching or doing something. What else? Anybody else? Any ideas? All right, we all are wearing masks. Why are we wearing masks?
COVID.
COVID, right? Come on, that was no brainer question, right? Come on, if you didn't know that. All right, we're all wearing masks because of COVID, right? Because of the coronavirus. There is a vaccine coming out, supposedly. It's coming out, right? However, you know, for you to get that vaccine available to you, there's going to be a number of trials, right? They're going to be put into groups. There's going to be randomization. There's going to be lots of things happening, right? And those trials, when you randomize students and they go through this, they're going to control every single aspect of it because that vaccine has to work for every person, irrespective of what that person is or what undiagnosed disability, undiagnosed medical condition they may have, right? So they have to test for everything. That randomization is not possible when we are talking about educational research. Because when we go into the schools, most of our research is done with schools, with students and things like that. The classes are already set. We can't randomize kids into different classes. We go into a school, the school type is set. We can't randomize that part. There are variables we can't. Once we go in, we're talking about reading instruction. Okay, so we're going to go or just observe students how they read. And that day there is a fight in the school. That's a variable we can't control. We decide to go into the school and I'm like, okay, this app is amazing. It's going to really, they're going to love it. They're going to learn it. They're going to be awesome about it. I'm only going to do it with this group and I'm not going to do it with that group because I want to see how much more they learn. But is that ethical? Can I keep something from them that will benefit them? No, I should not. That's not ethical. I know it's going to help them learn. I know it's going to make understanding better for them. How can I keep something away from a group that I know is effective? So there is where you get your ethical issues. When you collect data in an educational research, you collect a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings, opinions, perspectives. It's very difficult to quantify that. Okay, I am mad. I am mad. I am mad. How are you going to quantify what is mad? I could be mad just like that. We all have a level of being an introvert. We all have a level of being an extrovert. Can I put a number to it? I cannot. I could say, okay, I have a scale 1 to 5. How are you feeling today? I am 4, I am 3. What does really mean what's a 3 and a 4? Like, are you just neutral? No. Like, those are things you are feeling certain way, right? So when we collect data, they are thoughts. And even when we do numbers, sometimes it's not an exact number. Let's talk about your grades. You guys get an A, okay? Is an A a 90% or a 99%? A is an A, right? So when I am dealing with that kind of a data, it could be a whole range, right? 90 to 100%. If if it was my daughter, she would want to know, what is my A? I want to know what is that grade. I want to know where am I. But for somebody, A is an A. That's what it is. You have to deal with a range that is there. It could be anywhere in between. Those are not pure statistical values for us to work with. For example, we talk about dosages. When we talk about dosages, you know, a 2-year-old, I have a 3-year-old, so I can tell you this, they do not get more than 2.5 ml. Okay? But that's a exact number, right? They should not get more than that. But in educational research, you do not have those exact numbers. That's a big barrier to educational research. We have to work all around it. We've talked about human subjects, we've talked about control variables, randomization, ethical issues, data collections. But let's look, I want to do a small activity so that we can actually look at it more in like realistic. Okay, so can you go up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go to barriers to educational research.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. All right. So when you go to your Google site and you go up the barriers to educational research, you're going to see a link that says roll the dice and then a spreadsheet here. Okay. So I'm going to open up this spreadsheet first. So how many of you played? How many of you seen a dice? Come on, that's no brainer, right? Okay. All right. What numbers are there on a dice? Depends on a shape. That's an awesome point. We're going to come back to that, okay? But a normal dice, when you're working with cards and all that, has numbers 1 to 6, right? So when I roll a dice, a probability of getting any number is 1/6, which is about 17%, right? I roll it any number of times, I should have that number 1/6. That should be my probability. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose a number. You can choose any number 1 to 6 on a dice. And then on this, I don't like this one. Here is your dice. So you're going to click on this link. And I only want to do one dice. Where did my dice go?
I think you were right. I think you have to click the one.
Yeah, I have to click the one. That's what I thought I had to. But it's giving me 3 dice. That's okay.
Or maybe you have to try it again.
Okay.
All right, pick one of the colors. How about
Okay,
that?
pick one of the colors or you can pick all of them. That doesn't matter. You want to roll the dice 10 times and see what numbers you get. Okay. So if you get 3 dice and you roll it and you want to count them as 3 tries, that's fine. Or you can pick a color or something like that. And then you're going to put it in that spreadsheet that we have. This spreadsheet.
Your results. So this is your own little mini experiment.
So here's your number choice, and we know it's 17%. So you're going to put your choice, the numbers that you are rolled, and then we're going to see from the experiment what was the probability that you get.
So your number choice is like pick your favorite number 1 to 6.
Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite?
What's your probability of getting your favorite number, whatever that may be?
Won't let me edit. When I try to go to the dice, I get it. Yeah, and I can't let it.
So you can't edit the spreadsheet?
When you click on open with Google Sheets, did you try that?
I think you need to sign in.
I didn't think you had to.
Yeah, it's asking me to sign out.
It's asking you to sign in? Do you have a Gmail?
Yeah.
Would you mind signing in?
Well, I did, but, they wanted me to go to some spreadsheet viewer.
Oh, Google Sheets.
No.
All right, well then you can just, well, I guess you can't calculate it that way, or you can calculate it.
Okay, I can put in yours if you want.
Or you can just write your results down on
Is
a
there
piece of
anybody
paper.
else who's having problems with the sheets? Everybody's having problems with the sheets? Okay, let me see.
They can't roll the dice.
They can't even roll the dice? No, they can.
Okay.
Okay, you guys can do the dice?
No.
Okay, let's do this. Who can do the dice? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, so everybody can do the dice part of it. Okay,
Except for a few.
except, I think, and who can do the spreadsheet?
Well, how do you, yeah, like,
So I do have two people.
can we edit it? Like, are you fine with us editing it?
Yes, yes, you go ahead and edit it.
Change it once everyone, like.
No, the way I have set it up, so it opens up separately for all of you guys. So your edits will not come on the board.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, that's what I have
thought.
done.
I was like,
Okay, so. Okay, so it should not come. It's actually is. I don't know.
I know it worked.
Oh, were you the one who put that in?
No, I haven't put anything in there. I was gonna do it on my phone, see what it looks like.
Is it working?
yeah.
Well, just write your results down on a piece of paper. I bet y'all are pretty good at mathematical calculations. It's not too complicated.
Yeah, you just.
So do it 10 times and write what you get on your dice roll. Anyone still having trouble with the dice?
All right, who's having trouble with that?
So click on roll.
You just ordered rice?
No, I mean, I rolled.
So, and you're not on there.
Twice, all right.
I didn't want to harm it, COVID times.
And so your probability comes out, if you put it up, what's 2 out of 10, how much percentage? That's like double the probability of actually getting that number, right? That's a huge difference. All right, talk to me guys, how's it going?
Everyone else able to
I
access
have
dice?
You want the dice?
You have your 10?
I actually have dice, I got dice. You wanted to do everything. All right, what was your choice? All right, are you guys able to do it? Okay, awesome. What was your choice? So how many times? Ooh, that's about 30%, right? Out of, and actual probability is 17%. That's double, nearly double. That's a huge difference.
Anyone need help calculating
I
it?
add up all the numbers I get.
No, you don't just add it up. How do you do it? How do you calculate your probability? How do you do it? Are you raising your hand or stretching? Oh! So, add the number of times you got your number.
10 times.
You got your number 10, all 10 times?
No, I'm
So
sorry.
stand with the number 1
Yeah, you're supposed to pick a number.
All right, I just picked one.
You pick one. Okay, so count how many times you got one
Okay.
and divide that by
10,
10.
and that will give you.
So if it's, you got one 3 times, then divide 3 by 10, and that's the probability.
Okay, so see how many times I got my.
You can multiply by 100. So it's easier if you got it 2 times, you can just multiply by 10 and that gives you 20%. From 10 it can, from 0 Yeah, how about you?
0%.
No, my favorite number. I don't know.
Number 4.
I got a 1 out of 20.
Like most everybody has chosen 4 as a number. You got 0% too?
I chose 6, but
I got 30%.
How much did you get?
I chose 6, but
I was just 6, I would've got.
No, good, you switched it, that is perfectly okay. That's your choice.
Make
of
your
number.
prediction beforehand, and if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn
Yes,
out. You don't have to change it up.
yes. What was your choice?
3.
3, I like 3. Here's mine.
6, 1, 2, 3, 6.
3, okay, all right. I like
30.
I even like 5. Give some jingles when my husband's close to me. All right, so we all calculated probabilities of our numbers.
Yes.
Our theoretical one, the one we should get is 17%, right? Or near it. However, there were quite a few of you that got 30%. There was some of you who got 0%. There were some that got 20%. Okay, 20% is close to 17%, I understand. But 30% and 0% is huge. And I know one of you, if you would have changed the number choice, she had the number 3 5 times.
6 times.
6 times, oh my gosh, that's like 50% of the time. Look at the difference. The reason I did this is for you to look at it in the aspects of a number, but look at what I was talking about, a barrier. We go in thinking about something. This is how it's going to work. This is what it needs to be, or this is how it will be. And it is completely different. It's completely changed. That's a huge part of educational research. As a researchers, we have to be prepared for it, and we have to interpret our results based on what happens in the field. On Wednesday, when me and Dr. Stacia comes in, we're going to talk about research that's actually done with you being in the field as an observer in their settings, in their culture. And then those barriers that happen. Okay, we do statistics, okay? It's not like we don't ever do statistics. We have quantitative research that we do in education research. How do we do this? We will talk about those things on Wednesday. Okay, I wanted to show you one more thing because I had someone awesome in this class tell me about it depends on the dice, right? Somebody said that, and kudos to that person, because if you look at this link that is there, here are the different number of dice. So I just say a dice, we assumed it was 1 to 6. However, what type of dice? That's another confounding factor. That's another variable to think about as you proceed. What type of school are we going to? What is the context of it? I had this case, I worked at an elementary school, like I was the university supervisor. I worked in an elementary school. This teacher was really frustrated with this student, and we were trying to work with this student. She was like not into at all. Well, we found out that her house did not have electricity and water for 3 days, and her mom was sick. That is what was leading for her not not being able to understand. So it wasn't something that she didn't know or understand, but for her to be present in that situation, that context was extremely important. Okay, so I have two kids. I have a daughter and a boy. Okay, my kid is 8-year-old, my daughter is 8-year-old, and my kid is 3-year-old. Man, I thought I was the best parent in the world till I had my son. Okay, I am like relearning everything about parenting. Boys are different. No offense to boys here, okay? You guys are just different. Okay. But that's the context. I can't apply exactly the same things that I did with her to my own child. They learn differently. They are different. One would sit and color, the other would color his body. I can't give him a marker. I would give her a marker. I would never have anywhere to go. He literally drew like lines across his hand and his leg with black. I just sent him like that to school. I was like, I can't do it. Like she would run around the car and he puts his hand in the exhaust pipe of the car. I was like, that's it. Like something needs to change here. But that's the reflection part of it. Okay, same things don't apply. The context is really important when we do educational research.
Okay, you want me to tell
Yes.
Melissa? Okay, so for next time, what we're gonna give you some homework. It's not gonna take a long time. Oh, see, there's the moan.
Yes.
So next time we're gonna be talking about specific types of research and education. Quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. And you've probably heard those terms before. But we want you to just investigate a little bit yourself. So on the Google site, when you go to quantitative research, you'll see two articles here. One is on homework. We've done a lot of research in education, investigating how homework affects achievement. Do you need a lot of homework or do you need a little bit of homework or a moderate amount of homework? Okay. And the other article is about physical activity in the classroom and how varying amounts of physical activity in the classroom influence motivation. So the more you're like standing up and doing your go noodle activities, the more likely you are to pay attention or make better grades. So what I'd like for you to do is this half of the room, I'd like for you for homework to read the homework article, okay? This half of the classroom, I want y'all to read the second one, physical activity. And when you come to class on Wednesday, having read the article, come with a takeaway, okay? And we'll do an activity at the beginning of class and it'll launch into the discussion on quantitative research. So this is gonna look a lot more statisticky than other types of research. But just read the article and have a takeaway. This is something you learned or something you discovered, okay? Thank you so much. I will see you Friday. Dr. Cooper will be back here on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll clean them, I think. We have to go through and do it. That's what Steve was doing when I got here. Dr. Brown Marsden, do you want me to turn off the Zoom or?
Yeah, sorry, it was after.
There's one thing I wanted to add to it.
Yeah, no, yeah, do whatever, dude. I'm just giving you like the basics.
Actually, I'll send it to you.
He's not there.